Okay, so episode 2 was even better than the first episode because the first episode was more table setting, even though this kind of was too, because it filled in the blanks of the first episode in the viewpoint of the orphanage. So we find out how Parker became a part of the team. And that's simply because she called it. People thought that she was being fanciful about how someone could hack someone's eyes and ears, which, yeah. But it turned out that that actually happened. And they knew this for a solid month before Alexander had any idea. So we see them already putting their operation into motion. And we found out that Michelle has so far not said one truthful thing ever. We see her figuring out her character, which, Parker seems to know Alexander quite well just by listening to his interview for a particular mission. Which, alrighty then. So she gives Michelle some hints about what kind of a girl intrigues him. She also lets Michelle know that, oh, by the way, he's aware that you were the girl in Belarus. And, which she admitted in the room the unhackable room. And I honestly thought, okay, she's opening up to him. She's going to, that she feels safe because, no one can hack there. So it's totally cool. Only to find out that literally everything that comes out of her mouth is fake. Parker's only blunder here was the fact that they played with Alexander's mind. Well, I mean, this whole show is about playing with Alexander's mind. But even when he thinks he's talking to Michelle, he's actually talking to Parker. And Parker kind of forgot to tell Michelle this. Now, I'm curious. One, does Parker know her real name? And 2, will we ever find out her real name? It would be hilarious if it actually turned out to be Natalie, but I doubt it. So we finally get Simu Liu action. Because you just can't have Simu Liu in a project and not have him actually fight. I'm not talking sniper. I mean fight. I mean, of course you have to see that. It would be like casting Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan in a project. You don't cast them simply because they're actors. And they are good actors. I'm not going to say that none of them could act their way out of a paper bag. However, there is a reason you cast them, and that's because they can fight. And in the case of Simu Liu, I think he started off life as a stunt person. So it would make even more sense that you would have him fight. And plus, he was a sniper. So you expect that he can also do hand to hand. I can't imagine that there are snipers out there who, if they had to fight, are completely incapable of it. Now they might not be, Simu Liu level of being able to fight, but I would suspect that they are able to, that they have some hand to hand training simply because shit happens. So so I was excited to see that. And Michelle was so sweet to him, put your hand on my heart, just trying to calm him down. And she was like, "Oh, you did such a good job," which I was like, "Well, that's a bit condescending. I mean, you know damn well that he was in Belarus. You know he's capable of fighting. So why are we praising him like he's a child? Maybe because he's panicking right now. He's having a bit of a panic attack. And speaking of which, he did admit to Moira that he's been having panic attacks, and he checked out his medication and finds out that there are nanites in there. And he'd been getting these drugs from his ex-fiance. But Moira makes a good point. If she's involved, then that's just screaming to the hackers that you're onto them. If she isn't involved, you're just going to get her into trouble. So it makes sense that someone from the orphanage will check on her and give him some clean pills, which, considering that they built this huge lie, this huge world of lies, this huge web of lies, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable getting drugs from them, but not saying that they won't, because, they need him to trust them. And so they have to, not go too far with the surveillance. I mean, they're already taking advantage of whoever hacked him and following him anyway. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see how that goes. How that conversation goes. Who approaches her, and how does that end up? And if she is in on it, why? Why would she do that? Because, at least in Alexander's mind, it was an amicable split. It's not like they hate each other. So, yeah. If she's doing this if she actually knows she's doing this, then why? If she doesn't know, then it's like, how did they manage to do that? Let's see, what else? Like I said, I'm rather annoyed that pretty much nothing that comes out of Michelle's mouth is true. Now, towards the end, there was a 7-word message that Parker was using to build up around Alexander this world, so he could feel comfortable. So he would feel like, he's being taken care of and also trusted. But then she changes the focal point from him to her. So what's up with that? Is she shipping them? Is this a foreshadowing that, because of the fact that she'll be burned, because she won't be able to go out in the field anymore, because whomever is doing the hacking, they're going to know who she is. So if, say, it's a foreign government, obviously she couldn't go international and keep doing her thing because people will know who she is. So yeah, is this sort of her saying that they're going to build her a life post the orphanage? Oh, and speaking of which, they're supposed to be the watchers of all the intelligence agencies. So, I'm sorry. How do you not know that Michelle was used as an asset by the CIA? You would think that they would have the list of all the assets of all these organizations. What kind of watchers are you exactly? The people who attacked Alexander and Michelle were compromised agents, which I assume means dirty. But so about assets that disappear, but you don't know that Michelle was used as an asset previously? I mean, what? That makes zero sense. How do you not know this? I mean, it makes sense that if they had known, that they wouldn't have used her, because Alexander is not an idiot. He recognized her. Even though when she brought up Belarus, he seemed like, wait, what? So I guess he believed her explanation before. But dude, she was communicating with you through Morse code. Obviously, she's not some bartender. So at this point, you should not be surprised that it was actually her. Very bizarre, very strange. It's like he forgot their interaction from last episode. Very strange. Let's see. Oh, yes. So at the end, Cobb, who said he doesn't trust Alexander, he doesn't trust the orphanage, which, I'm sorry, if you don't trust the organization you work for, why are you still working for them? I mean, Victor left. We don't know under what circumstances, but he left. So, leave? And who the hell is he talking to? Because I'm gonna bet that that's not his uncle. No, even though he was introduced as Cobb's uncle, don't think he is. And when I first saw that other guy, I thought at first it was Victor. But no, it wasn't Victor. And, Cobb is saying, I don't trust Alexander. I think he's leaking information. It's like, and we don't know who this guy is. Is he like Victor and was previously with the orphanage? In which case, okay. But how much are you telling him? And then we see that he has a cane. And the camera wouldn't pan to that if they didn't want you to know that he is the guy who met with these compromised agents and told them to go after Alexander. Now, we don't know why. Is he the hacker? In which case, why would they go after Alexander, because unless they think that the orphanage knows. I mean, Cobb is telling them that Alexander is working upstairs. So maybe they figured out that the orphanage knows. And so they decided they were going to deal with it. But they did a scan, and there was no alarm or anything. So maybe it was a matter of they just wanted to check and that they weren't going to stop him. But I mean, maybe because these are former, like the chick was a former member of the CIA, maybe she recognized Michelle and they're like, oh shit. So even though they were checking the data stream, they also knew that, yeah, the orphanage knows. So then they were going to take out Alexander, which, I'm sorry, why? Is it possible that they think that it could be traced to someone? Because, I mean, as long as you keep a low profile, I would think that why draw attention to yourself? Now, granted, it turns out they don't actually know, at least, what was her name, Clarice? That she did not know that she didn't see his face. She just knew he's an American and he walks with a cane. My question is, how did you not see his face? I mean, was he wearing a bag over his head? How is it that you only heard his voice and saw his cane? I mean, did you meet up at some place where there was tinted glass so you couldn't see? You just saw the cane? I mean, and heard his voice? Seriously, how did this happen that you did not know who he is? Not to mention, why would you work for someone who you have no idea who they are? I mean, they're compromised, so maybe he had something on them? Anyway, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention about this episode. Let's see. Oh, yes. I did like that they made Parker basically the levity of the situation. Like, she would talk with Moira, and then she'd be like, how do I get out of here? I did find it adorable that she introduced herself to St. George. And when St. George told her who she was, it didn't at first click, and then suddenly I think it was Marlo gave her a look or something that made her realize that this is St. George, which I thought was cute the way she handled it. Let's see. So we know that Parker is a failed playwright, mainly because she made things way too complicated. Probably why nobody believed her about the eyes and ears thing, because, I mean, come on, what the heck? What else was I gonna mention about Parker? Oh, I was upset to find out that her first name is Samantha. I mean, she seems like a Parker. She looks like a Parker. Parker is a first name. Why not just go with Parker? But anyway, let's see if there's anything else about this episode I wanted to mention. I think I've covered everything I wanted to this episode. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.